Okay, doing one on Spirit Halloween MIT triggers. MIT is multiple interface triggers, and all they were was a trigger like these. These are 3 out of the 4 that they made and sold, and the trigger itself does an animation or something, and then once it's finished with its cycle, it triggers the prop, kind of like an animated delayed step pad. And we did some research on the wiring and how these things work, and most of them come like this. If you can, I want to get it in here and see if we can zoom in, but that's the common MIT jack, and I just have a 3 wire plug plugged into it, and I did some testing with my voltmeter and ohm meter and everything on the wires, and basically the center one is not used at all. The red is positive and the yellow is ground when it goes to trigger the other prop, and it puts about a half second to a second 5-volt pulse on the red and the yellow on the ends to trigger the other prop when it goes to trigger it. That's all it does. A normal foot switch or trigger just ties the 2 wires coming out of the prop together to trigger it, like a ground or tying them together. This one's the opposite, where this trigger, we all have battery boxes, and they run off 3 AA batteries, which puts out nearly 5 volts. And when it triggers, it takes that 5 volt off the batteries, and it puts a pulse on, like I say, the red and the yellow for half a second, and that's what triggers the prop. Another thing that bothered me is, like, what does this other jack or port here do? And what I found out, because that's not a foot switch or a trigger like that, that's a demo to activate the trigger here. So if I put this in demo mode here, and I got a common try me button hooked to this thing, and hopefully if it's still hooked up and the batteries are good, we hit the try me. This one you got to hold it. It doesn't do a complete cycle in the demo try me mode. But anyway, hit the demo with this try me. Warning. And it activates the trigger here. Maximum voltage will initiate now. And once it does that, it triggers the other prop to activate that has an MIT trigger. These MIT triggers, since they put out voltage instead of grounding the wire like on a normal foot switch try me, they won't work on any prop unless it's an MIT compatible prop that's looking for that voltage instead of a ground. I don't know why. Well, I probably can guess that Spirit did that to make more money. If they sold these and you could hook them to the regular try me and all that, they just made them exclusive, so they will only work on certain exclusive trigger props to get more money out of you. They didn't have to do that way, but they did. So anyway, that's this box. This is another trigger that came with the Thrashing Clown, I believe. This is a TNT box. And same thing, MIT trigger. You push down to activate this one. I must not have it on. I don't. It's got the demo. Which is that 2-pin there and that MIT trigger there. The demo will activate this prop with the try me button and the MIT trigger out, and the same thing. So we're going to turn it on and hit this one. Any MIT trigger will work with any MIT prop, but there aren't that many of them. And then once it goes off, it would activate the Thrashing Clown is what this one came with. But again, any MIT trigger will activate any MIT prop. And if it's not MIT, you know, these won't work unless you modify them in some kind of way. And last is another MIT trigger that I have. This electric box here works the same way as these others, except this one does not have a demo or try me switch. But I like this one because you activate this by doing that. Nobody expects this door to open, and when it opens that door, it activates the other prop too. So it has a lot going on with this one. This one was designed for the death row prisoner. So when it went off, and it would activate the death row who you know, simulates being electrocuted. So that's kind of a cool process with this one. So that's all my thoughts, I think, on MIT triggers. One I missed, though, is one I don't have. They have a first aid box, they call it. And it's basically a remake of this electric box here, except it's made to look like a, you know, a zombie first aid kit. And again, when you activate it, it works the same. It opens it. Just a remake of this with the first aid box MIT trigger, and that one was designed for a convulsing nurse. So when you hit the first aid trigger, it would go off, and then when it went off and opened the door, because it's a remake of this one, it would activate the convulsing nurse prop that Spirit made. These were made around, not quite sure, but I think around the 2014 to 2018 era, give or take. I should have studied up on that a little bit, but so the convulsing nurse came with the first aid box, which is basically a remake of this. And the convulsing nurse was kind of like the thrashing clown, just, you know, in a nurse thing instead of the clown with the TNT box. So anyway, these are 3 out of the 4 main triggers that Spirit used. Hard to come by. You know, they probably go for these two anyway. Probably go for about $150 if you can find them. This one, Tiki resold it recently in the 2000s, and it went for about $40, Tiki Toys, but they stopped selling them or ran out of them. So these are a little bit easier to find. But again, unless you redo that wiring or put a relay or something in there, they won't work on a normal prop with a foot switch or a try-me, because it does just the opposite. Sends voltage to the prop to activate it, whereas a normal try-me foot switch on every other one that I know of, it grounds it. Grounds the 2 wires together or connects them together. So that's going to be it on this demo of the Spirit Halloween MIT multiple interface triggers. Bye.